incentives. Some people can play the game. I think Robert Rubin is a great example of someone who was very successful in the private sector and in government, but they're different. They're different reward and incentive systems, and
it's a different animal.
It's a different animal.
Well, let's talk right before we end this here. Let's talk about trade deals. Ross Perot famously said you will hear a huge sucking sound when they were talking about the NAFTA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have this TPP deal that's going on, and Clinton originally was for it. Now she's against it.
You mean she changed her position on the issue?
Yeah, she did. And
You're kidding. I'm shocked.
And Trump, I don't think he's for it.
No.
From what I understand. So what do you think on that deal? And do you think that keeping international corporations, helping to help international corporations is just simply the cost of a modern country, and that's where we're going?
Absolutely, without question. It would be like saying, let's repeal the internet. The genie's out of the bottle. International trade looked at collectively, I don't think you'd find a respectable economist in the United States who would be against globalization or international trade. In the aggregate, in terms of improving gross national product of countries throughout the world, and perhaps China, have been the major beneficiaries of that. Now, having said that, the problem is, in any specific situation, it can have devastating costs. And whether it's the auto industry or other manufacturing industries, clothing industry, specific industries and specific individuals, the coal miners in West Virginia, these people are devastated. So the question is, how do you deal with the situation? And I think a well-functioning government would do its best to try to retrain the people who can be retrained. Some will be of a certain age where it's difficult, and I believe they, should not be put on welfare and should be receiving some level of government assistance so that they can maintain a decent lifestyle. But it's a very difficult question.
Well, but why did they negotiate the TPP in private? Nobody could see it, and they passed it without the public knowing what was in it.
Because, and you see this in tax legislation all of the time, lobbying has become so sophisticated that if the stuff is done in the public light, immediately the lobbying forces will get together to kill anything and everything.
You can't get anything passed if the lobbyists find out what's in it. And so it's more to shield them from the lobbyists, because they'll kill everything, and you can't get anything done.
Correct.
Well, okay, who's your prediction of who's going to win?
Oh, I think Hillary Clinton will win. But I think it's not impossible that, well, the problem is, I think Trump could win if he could control himself, but there is nothing in his 70-year history to suggest that he can. So I'll make this prediction. There will be things that are already in the public record, but the media hasn't pushed on the Clinton Foundation, particularly Hillary quashing 46,000 subpoenas that a federal judge issued to the United Bank of Switzerland to produce the name of U.S. citizens who had bank accounts there. They requested 48,000. Hillary intervened. They only got 2,000. There's only one reason to maintain a bank account there, and that's because you're involved with a major tax shelter or tax avoidance scheme.
So she could have been involved, and she was protecting her own.
Well, the UBS, the United Bank of Switzerland, is the largest donor to the Clinton Foundation, and 3 other executives are among the top 10 individual donors. The press really hasn't focused in narrowly on that. They're just sort of getting into the foundation thing.
But you think the press will? Because the media has been historically...
Well, I think this. I mean, I would guess, if the world is rational, that the Republicans are keeping it in their back pocket till early or mid-October, when it will resonate with the public and before they can come up with a lot of the Clinton attack machine reasons as to why it wasn't what it looked like. So I do think more and more stuff will come out on the foundation. And also, to use an economist term, there's always the possibility of exogenous variables, events that cannot be predicted in advance. And the obvious thing would be some type of another catastrophic terrorist event in the United States, mass murdering, mass killing. And I think those type of events tend to favor Donald Trump, in that he is viewed as more pro-law enforcement, more stronger response. So if one were to posit some significant blow-ups on the corruption front, additional blow-ups on the Clinton front, and
or if the stock market crashes, that'll favor Trump.
Yeah, I don't think there's any suggestion of that, largely because they think Hillary's going to kill him. But I don't think that's likely. But
well, like if Deutsche Bank went under.
But a terrorist event, a major foreign policy event, or series of them, as well as major negative events on the Clinton corruption front, could change things. I mean, the election, when we really boil it down, is about 5 states: Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida. Kane has probably taken Virginia out and will win that state, so maybe Wisconsin or Colorado is another swing state. I'm guessing that Trump, he's tied with Hillary now in the polls. I'm guessing that he would have a good shot at Florida, where he spends a lot of time and is well known. I think Pennsylvania, Hillary's ahead substantially, so I think it'd be hard for Trump to win Ohio, rather difficult to win Pennsylvania. Ohio, they're running very closely. But let me throw out, if you want to end on kind of an intriguing note, the following. You ready?
Okay, yep, I'm ready.
A couple of ironic things could occur in this election. Number one, we can have a contested election that goes to the Supreme Court, and then if Ruth Bader Ginsburg does the right thing, she should disqualify herself, having made these political comments against Trump, in which case Trump wins the election 4-3, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg, after 50 years of silence, I mean, I've heard her speak at public lectures. She doesn't even say anything at a public lecture, and all of a sudden she
yeah, that was weird.
Did this diatribe, yeah. And by the way, why did she not resign if she really cared about the country, as opposed to herself 3 years ago, and give Obama 2 years to fill her seat? But I guess if she has a conscience, which I doubt, she'll have to live with that. Trump becomes president. So there's the irony of the possibility of the 4-3 vote. Here's another possible irony. A very popular Utah politician has decided to run and will take Utah. And I haven't played with the math nor the voting laws as to when someone could get elected. But if a couple of other people in a couple of key states could take those states, you have the possibility that no one gets 270 votes. The president is chosen by the House of Representatives, and if it stays as a Republican House, they could choose a Republican candidate other than Donald Trump, such as a John Kasich or Mitt Romney or whomever, or Paul Ryan.
Which would be very strange, and it would cause a lot of turmoil in the country. I would like to see, I don't want to see that, but it would be interesting to see how people would react to something like that.
I think they would react a lot better to that than a Donald Trump presidency.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Or maybe a Hillary Clinton presidency. In fact, if you got enough people and got enough publicity with that, and again, I haven't looked at the math and what states you could get on the ballot of and whether you could get surrogates who could take the state, like a Kasich in Ohio, but it's a possibility that people would say, hey, I mean, how many people do you hear every day who say, is the best we can do Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump?
Oh, you hear that all the time. What I hear is, what STD do you want to have? It's awful.
Well, I haven't heard that one, but by the way, speaking of that, I mean, and I don't know if we'll find this out after the election, but Bill Clinton is not looking well.
Oh, I know, he seems ill.
And so there must be something going on there. And
he seems ill.
Yeah, and he's got his mouth open all the time, and doctors I've talked to suspect some type of a neurological deficit. So. Oh,
that's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure and entertaining when you're on.
Well, Sarah, I appreciate it, and I would say this: my advice to all voters would be the advice of Yogi Berra when they walk into that voting booth. When you get to that fork in the road, take it.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. Let's hope the Vikings are competitive so that we have some form of entertainment in Minnesota after the election.
Absolutely. Okay, well, have a wonderful day.
You too. Great talking to you.
Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that interview that we had with Alan. And if you want to find information on how to contact him, go to my website at sarahwestall.com, and you can find out how to contact him directly. And for now, I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
You've been listening to Business Game Changers with host Sarah Westall. Tune in each Monday at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, as Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune in Mondays at 12 noon Pacific Time and learn more about Sarah at sarahwestall.com today.